3, 2, 1. And welcome back, or welcome to Pro and Noob on the Mitch 692 channel. I'm Mitch 692. Over there is Jarod, the Dark Jedi from the Nerd Academy podcast.
Here.
Today we're talking about Evangelion 3.33. You can not redo. Last week it was 2.22. You can not advance. Before 1.11, you are not alone. How you doing, Jarod?
I will say this chunk of the rebuild felt like Star Wars in two very specific ways. One, we have a whole ass Rebel alliance now with a fledgling Rebel fleet. Again, I felt very at home with that element. And the other way that it felt like Star Wars is that it felt like I was dropped into the middle of a story that I had no fucking context for whatsoever.
You have all the context for.
No, not really.
Yes, yes, you do. Yes, you
not particularly.
You have all the context for everything.
I think I much like Kamala Harris, we exist in the context of what has come before, unburdened by what has been. And I vote, even if you pinch your nose for it, vote. Even down ballot, if you can't do the presidential, I don't blame you, but vote local at the very least. I say that as mostly as a joke. This is a lot of fun. Like, this is like insane.
It's just 22 weeks and he's used the word fun for the first time.
Yes, because most of this has not been fun for me, Mitch.
Even at the fun episodes, he's never used fun.
No. The action in this film is incredible. Again, I don't think I understood what was going on for the first 10 fucking minutes.
Time jump. That's literally all you need.
Well, no. Not just because time jump, which again, I love that you had one last buck wild curveball to throw at me in terms of
is that my last one?
I meant in terms of format.
No, that's
I meant in terms of format. Like something akin to Jarod can't know that it's just the show again for the first movie. Very, very akin to that. Like, he had one more, like, here's an insane thing not to do with plot that he can't know, and that is that there is a 14-year time skip.
You can't go on about sexualization anymore, Jarod.
No, I can't. Again, the hill that you're willing to die on, knowing the verbiage you have to use to die on that hill, will never not be funny.
Oscar is 27. Scream out.
Oscar's older than me now.
She is, yeah. So
Oscar's older than me now. Yeah. I mean,
you don't know how long this one's been about for?
No. I mean, clone age.
I don't think she knows either, to be fair.
Which, again, your consent argument just went out the fucking window. But, yeah, okay.
That's the thing. Anyway, I'll shut up.
So, before we get into any of the meat and potatoes, the opening sequence, what is going on there?
They're getting Shinji back.
That's okay. That's what I thought. Again, the way that Ava or Angel or whatever the fuck it was moving was so disorienting that I don't think I could focus on a single detail and understand what was happening. But again, like, it clearly ends in like a recovery of Shinji Ikari. Cool.
I will be honest here. You might have already figured this out. There was a lot of changes between last movie and this movie. Some things were cut. Some things reworked.
Felt like it. Like I said, there was a moment where I was like, did I put on the wrong movie?
Nope. You put on very much the right one.
So tell me what all was changed and what all was cut, because that might give me a little bit more context.
What was changed? I don't think we know exactly what was different. We just know some things changed, because at the end of every credit scene for these movies, there's a little stinger, like a little teaser for the next one.
Yeah.
And shit doesn't add up. Now, if you go back and watch the 2.2, you cannot advance. It says, Unit 6 descends, which it does descend into Terminal Dogma, but it's more akin to how Karu does it in the original series, not in Unit 13 and all that sort of stuff. It's just a bunch of stuff like that. The most egregious one, in fairness, is between this and the next one, because it's completely different.
Because I did stick around for the post credits, so I'm glad that meant fucking nothing.
Yeah. The whole combination of Unit 2 and Unit 8, no, that doesn't happen.
Cool.
I almost text saying, like, don't worry about the credits, it's irrelevant. But I decided to go with a funnier option. And
was punish me for learning.
I had 13 years of that wait of that trailer to not get that trailer.
So very interesting.
Also, context-wise, this is probably the most important one. If you go back to the last movie and when Kaji and Shinji are talking about Masato, right, and you have then the flashback for that, there are 4 Adams in that flashback.
Yeah.
Right. Well, they were supposed to be at the start of this. And you see one like land on the moon and then see other stuff go all over the place. And it was just, I think as well, like the whole more of a third impact to explain why there's a Lilith there, why Unit 6 is with that Lilith and all that sort of stuff. But we only know that because we've seen storyboards. Nothing was ever animated, but it's taken as that's like, that's why they was going like the vessel of the Adams.
Yeah, the vessel of the Adams. I was like, okay, we were referring to Adams as a plural, and I was like, I think I saw multiple Adams in the last one, but I don't know. It's so hard.
I meant to bring it up last week. We just never got around to it.
So, can you explain to me why there's multiple Adams in this timeline?
No. I know what multiple Adams. That's if there is a reason, I don't know it.
Okay, I was about to say, no, there isn't an explanation, or no, you can't tell me yet. Okay, so there's no explanation.
No.
Cool.
If we're doing stuff differently, I'm going to have 4 Adams.
Yeah.
Adams are going to be in charge of these ships. Where these ships come from? Yeah.
I also think it's interesting, like, again, that it's very Hulk and Endgame, I feel like I was made for this. Where the very conceit of these rebuilds, I think, is something that was very easy for me to slide into. Because again, like I mostly come from Star Wars and Marvel. So I'm coming from, I have 2 continuities that are often at conflict when it comes to Star Wars between canon and Legends. And one of those continuities is at fucking war with itself half the time. And then, we are no stranger to a mostly the same, but wildly different in very key ways with Marvel, with like Ultimate, so like this, so like wrapping my head around like,
cause we're at that point now.
yeah. So like this, so this is not a foreign concept to me that it's like, hey, like, something like what was just announced this week with this whole idea that like, oh, like the new Ultimate Wolverine was also a part of the Winter Soldier program. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
We just get that conceit out of the way up top. Like it's going to be slightly different. It's basically the same character. He's going to be characterized slightly differently because of the change we're making and adding to this character's background. But for the most part, it is still just Wolverine. With a couple twists and turns in there. So a lot of the like, I don't want to say contradictory because it's made it very clear this is its own timeline. So some of the stuff that isn't in perfect harmony with the TV canon, I think is interesting and not super hard to follow. And again, like I said, I think this has streamlined the story a lot, or at least it did for the first half. I think it's streamlined the story a lot, and now we're at a point where it has gone, oh, we forgot how fun it was to make this insanely fucking convoluted and complicated. So here's all this new shit that is kind of batshit insane. So I know the Wunder.
Oh, it is obviously a lot of new, but it's following the exact same beats.
Yeah. New concepts, similar structure. So the Wunder is the capital ship of Masato's rebellion. What is the name of the organization again?
Vile.
Okay, cool. That's what I thought. I knew it sounded like Zile, and I couldn't remember. Okay. I found that very compelling.
Vile.
Yeah. So I really like this element. I think it's really funny that a lot of the things that I was questioning why it never happened in the show is happening in this film.
That's interesting.
Because if you go back when it's like, okay, Masato knows that a lot of what has been going on is basically an inside job. That all of these angel attacks have been prophesied. All of the chaos and carnage and destruction was basically expected in. It was a feature. It was not a bug in this, grand conspiracy to initiate Third Impact and human instrumentality. And I remember being like, I think it's weird that there is not like a fucking revolt once people catch on to the fact that it's all the work from Gendo, that even he has now turned on his superiors to guide human instrumentality in a capacity. I mean,
that's what he does originally, right?
What was that?
That's what he does originally.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, though. Is it like no? Is it? It felt like the only people who took umbrage with the direction that Gendo took. Again, going rogue was Zile, and it felt weird for Zile to react in the way that it did, because despite Gendo putting a very personal, like my reunion with Yui spin on it, at the end of the day, they still got what they wanted. It was still, yeah.
No, Zile didn't get what they wanted in the slightest.
So they didn't want human instrumentality.
No, they wanted it to happen, but obviously wanted it to be permanent, right? No, they wanted it to be back with Lilith, not floating off in space with Unit 2, Unit 1.
Okay. That's true. That's true. I misspoke.
It's the same but different.
Yeah, no, for sure. But again, like you don't get, but like the whole, like Nerve ends up having like a civil war with Zile, as opposed to Nerve going, none of this is good, and trying to find any other output here. So I really do love the idea that in the immediate aftermath of Third Impact, and it being made abundantly clear that Gendo, despite the wishes of pretty much everybody involved, wanted to bring about the end times in a direction that was not suitable, obviously, to mankind, and in a direction that was not ideal for Zile. So seeing the revolt, we need to destroy all of the Avas, we need to bring Nerve to its knees. Loved that. I thought that was really compelling. I was super into the post-apocalyptic characterization of everybody. And buckle up, guys. I am going to full screen myself for a moment.
Oh, do we have a Mari take? Is that what we're about to get?
What was the subtitle for this again, Mitch?
You cannot redo. Yeah.
That's what I thought. My favorite character in Neon Genesis Evangelion 3.33, you can not redo, is Asuka Langley.
If I tell you Asuka Langley doesn't exist.
Whatever the fuck her last name is.
Actually, I'm getting confused.
She has two last names. One of them is Langley. I couldn't remember the other one. It's like somebody just calling me Jared Bachman or just Jared Stubbs.
Yeah, but hold on. I need to...
I gave you that my favorite character in this movie was Asuka, so...
I know, but...
if you're about to nitpick me on that, I'm going to quit with one movie to go.
You're not going to quit. You know what? I'm going to leave that. We got him, boys. I'm going to go back to the original. Got him.
Yeah, there's your intro. There's your intro for this week is me saying that and then hard cutting to, ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
We got him.
But no, I really like Asuka in this. Like, beyond her being a compelling character who I find frustrating, but that's the point. Beyond, you're supposed to be annoyed by her. And again, it's been 14 years. Asuka having this weird little quirk where she has to give everybody an incredibly demeaning nickname that she only addresses them by. Like, I'm sorry, hot take. I roll my eyes every time. It's idiot Shinji. I hate it. I hate idiot Shinji. I hate it.
Wouldn't last a day over in Europe.
Four-eyed crony. I'm sorry. They just don't. They don't portray the fact. Like it. In my opinion, it undercuts the ways that Asuka has matured as a character. If every other line is idiot Shinji, four-eyed crony, but we're showing her as being like a capable, like military, on the ground leader, like she is incredibly competent in battle. She is making like decisions on the fly, that I don't think her younger counterpart would have been quite as prepared to make.
No, because she was 14 and horrendously traumatized.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think, yeah. And again, and it's not a slight against her. I am the one who has said 1,000 times, I hate these people for sending children into battle.
I can't send anyone else.
Still not clear on why that is.
Because you have to, I don't know if you have to have the souls of the parents in there, but that's just how it worked out.
Buck wild.
Evangelion science, it eventually will make sense.
Yeah, speaking of the science of it all.
Don't ask about the science, Jarod. Don't ask
another way I like, another thing that because we've talked about this before, that I don't have a problem with like science fantasy. Obviously, yeah. Science fantasy.
Not that Star Wars really. Anyway, no, I'm not gonna, because you're gonna go on a tangent. Carry on.
Well, no, just that like it uses a lot of the trappings of science fiction, spaceships, outer space.
Yeah, but I was gonna say it's really softball with it.
Hyper advanced technology, but its portrayal and the themes have much more in common with like traditional fantasy and fairy tales than it does like. It's like I've said 1,000 times before. Star Wars has more in common with Lord of the Rings than it does with Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like that basic principle. And Evangelion has had a very interesting relationship with its own sci-fi fantasy split, where not unlike Star Wars, and this is another Star Wars comparison I'm going to make, it does a lot of yada yada to justify the borderline space age technology they use in the show, and then fall back on a lot of just esoteric spiritualism for the main thrust of the plot. And the balance almost oriented into a very Star Wars like percentage as to how much we care about the science and how much we are more focused on the spiritual and like the fantastical. And again, I don't know how to quantify it. I really don't. But like I said, this felt very Star Warsy in its presentation. And again,
like Arno himself, just don't think about it. There's a reason why they don't give you anything with it. It doesn't matter. It just does not matter. It's all bullshit. It's all fake. It does not matter. You're doing the equivalent of like who pumps up the Batmobile tires. It's fantasy. It does not matter.
Alfred and Bruce. First of all,
it doesn't matter. No one pumps it up. It's fiction. You don't need to worry about it.
And again, no, and I agree with you. And it's not, and again, this isn't a sticking point for me of me going, I don't like it about that. It's just there was something. Again, despite how disorienting the first act of this film is, there was something that felt profoundly familiar about it. And I think that it was that this felt more Star Warsy than I think Evangelion has ever felt. And that I'm not necessarily saying I love it because it, like, on some level, it gave me Star Wars in some way. But just to say that was a vibe that felt distinct from everything else we've watched up to this point. Down to like even most of the angel fights, through this franchise up to this point, they have their own feel, like blowing up the like laser gate mechanism that they were trying to use. Again, I couldn't tell if that was an Angel and Ava or an invention independent of those two things. I
believe it's an Angel.
That's what I thought. But like just the nature of that fight and everything that had to happen, it was paced like a trench run. It was paced, to make a very specific comparison. I can't put my finger on what exactly it is. There was something about the way that it was paced, the way that it was shot, that felt like the beginning of The Last Jedi, with like Poe Dameron scuttling the First Order dreadnought. Like, again, I can't put my finger on why this feels
I get
like
it.
that.
I get it, yeah.
But it feels like Poe taking on the First Order dreadnought at the beginning of Episode 8.
Poe,
and again, it works for me. And obviously, it works for me.
It does, yeah. You can tell. It's the first smile we've seen in 22 weeks.
Yeah.
6 months.
It's the first time I've smiled in 6 months. It's so fucking funny. I don't know. I did like that a lot. Karu.
Yes.
I think it's fascinating that
he exists to die.
Yeah. Well, I had in my note. I haven't even looked at my notes much because there came a point where I stopped taking notes. And again, and I think there's on a subconscious level. Again, this feels like it's paced like a Star Wars movie. That part of my brain was able, I don't want to say go on autopilot, like I was just floating through the movie, but there was like I'm familiar with this space. There's a something fundamental about this movie that I get more than the other things.
It's taken him 6 months to finally watch it properly.
Shut the fuck up.
You said it yourself multiple times.
It took Evangelion 6 months to meet me at my home turf.
But the whole point is it's not your home turf.
I know. I'm kidding.
You have to meet it. Deep end.
Karu's characterization is really interesting here.
It's the exact same as the original.
It is, but they eliminate a lot of his like Omen of Death vibe.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. Like Karu in this film, it feels like a very interesting exercise in how much can you fundamentally change about a character and they still feel like the character. Because
congratulations, that's the point of the rebuild.
Because again, like you don't get this like Malthusian, like almost glee in knowing that he is like the final trumpet to be sounded. You know, he seems dedicated to the cause beyond the end times. He feels like he has a lot more agency too. You know, I just found him, you know, like one of the things I found so compelling about Karu in the show was that Malthusian element, was that, you know, where the angels, at the very least, by virtue of the fact that they're just gigantic, for the most part, floating monsters that warp reality around them, and that for the most part, they are just forces of nature that our heroes have to contend with. Karu adds a almost sadistic glee to what he does. He is very excited to possess that new Ava. He is very excited to see the devastation that comes from it. And he's excited to die for it. Because he knows that like when he dies, human instrumentality becomes a thing. That it's a wrap. That he is here.
They win, right? The angels win.
Yeah.
They get to live.
Yeah,
they earn the right.
And that, I think, is really compelling for him. And I think that taking that and making it so that he wants to initiate a fourth impact so that they can reset the devastation of the third impact.
Near third impact.
The near third impact, sure. Everybody else says we have averted fourth, so we're just going to call it third.
They don't say fourth. They say they averted the fourth at the end of this movie.
Yeah, which would make what happened at the end of the last movie 3.
Yeah, they call that one near third. Like the entire way through this movie, they call it the near third impact.
Yeah, I know. I'm not calling it that.
You are.
The planet is red and most of humanity's fucking dead.
NTI.
Anyway.
This entire franchise.
I know. I know they call it the near third impact.
You've been totally
even Karu, even Karu kind of scoffs at that idea. He's like, you know, look at this devastation. I feel like it's more, you know, Vile lying to themselves about like this was third impact. It just wasn't as bad as it could have been. I'm splitting hairs, but
that's what you're here for.
I think it's really interesting to move his characterization again from this very Malthusian agent of chaos type vibe to, again, like wanting to undo the carnage. Like, I think he very sincerely believes that fourth impact will officially wipe the slate clean and allow for a state of being able to rebuild, where, again, these are one of those things I think they have done much better here than in the show, or at least, again, streamlined it. I think they've done a better job at showing Gendo's human instrumentality and Zile's human instrumentality are different.
I don't agree you get a better sense of that here because Zile's not in this at all. You get a little bit of sizzle with Zile in the last movie, and then they're just not in here until they die.
Sure, but like, I just mean that like we get a moment where Gendo is basically like, I am trying to do something that is patently different from you. And I think it was also interesting to get Zile as they are killed because they just live in the tablets, I guess. Because sure, Why not? That they're like, yeah, we got what we wanted for the most part, so we'll let you freestyle. See you in hell, motherfucker. I liked that. And again, I think that there is a very interesting commentary being made about fatalism. I think I don't quite know what to make of it yet, but like there are certain things now. And again, granted, like part of this is because like this is an adaptation and retelling of the show that has zigged in a lot of zagging places, but there are things that there are heartbreaking things that have remained a constant. Like Shinji will attempt to make the ultimate sacrifice to save Rei and accidentally ushers in the end times by doing
accidentally is a strong word. This man went to save Rei, said fuck everything, and exactly that happened.
Well, but even he says, like, how the fuck was I supposed to know that this is what would have happened? I don't think Shinji understood what was on the line
that's
here.
why he's idiot Shinji. He doesn't get anything. No one else was expecting Shinji to do that. Shinji's an idiot. He's a lovable idiot. The man's a genocidal maniac. He's
okay.
It's like father, like son. He's just a child about it.
Anyway, but like Shinji is damned to attempt a heroic act and it unintentionally result in Third Impact. He is damned for this to happen. He's damned to this happening. Kaoru is damned to literally lose his head at the final stage of trying to avert calamity. Like when he put that thing on, I was like, oh, so your shit's still getting popped like a balloon, huh?
Except this time we see it.
Not really.
Oh, you do. And it's chunky.
It is chunky, but there's still like, there's a nice screen of blood. We don't really get to see like a smoking stump and like.
No, but you see his actual head explode. No.
Yeah. Yeah. And there wasn't like 8 fucking minutes of.
A minute and 12 seconds.
In it this time.
Arguably is the best one.
I'm not gonna say it's bad. But no, this is really compelling and exciting, and I like this iteration a lot. Again,
good stuff.
It's what I say. Well, what did I say at the end of Evangelion? I was like, I want to see what can be done in the world as it is left now, and this film delivers on that. There is a fledgling resistance trying to undo what Nerve did, that wants to eliminate Nerve's capacity to complete its work. And, I got a lot of the stuff I asked for delivered to me here. I can't, I have very little that I think I can, react to negatively. And I think that even though a lot of these characters have hardened, obviously over 14 years living in this desolate wasteland, I love seeing so much of what makes them still in there. Like, I think one of my favorite moments in this entire film is Misato hesitating to pull the trigger.
I knew you were going to say that one.
Like,
it's a great moment.
It's a phenomenal moment, especially in the way that it's framed, because Misato is so clever. She is so smart. And when you take how she operates all into consideration, she clearly knows he's about to be out of range. She knows she has maybe like 3.5 seconds to kill him right now. And when she doesn't make that choice, there's a clear calculus of, I think, her knowing, because Misato is a character who I think in many ways lies to herself a lot.
Oh, 100%.
I think
I don't know what gave you that impression, but 100%.
You know, this just because, like, you know, I mean, she talks about it. She's like, you know, I told myself I wanted to avenge my father, and that's why I joined up with Nerve. But in actuality, I find some amount of comfort knowing that I'm closer to him now because he and I are doing the same work. You know, it is. I'm saying I'm doing it for this reason, but actually, there is a much more, for lack of a better term, emotionally simple place this comes from. And I think that's very compelling about her. Stuff like her almost trying to, in some ways, convince herself that her attraction to Kaji comes from a surface level, physical, promiscuous place, when in reality she loves this man, truly and honestly loves him. Stuff like that, stuff that when we get inside her head and during human instrumentality, she is actively trying to convince herself that she is just this kind of like floozy and not giving herself the credit of being the strong person she is. So like, she is somebody, for better or worse, who lies to herself a lot. And I think it's really compelling to have one more lie come from that of, by the time I was on my feet, it was out of range. Oh, well, she couldn't do it. And I love that. And I love the way that is doubled down on by the fact that when they go, oh, the collar is no longer on Shinji. And in fact, it's somehow saying it's on an angel. She's like, fuck this shit, and pushes that button.
Yeah. Right.
You know, there is no hesitation from her when it is no longer Shinji.
Yeah.
And it's made even easier when it's like, oh, pattern blue, fuck it. You know, I think that is really compelling. I think that you know, there are elements of this that verge on some type of existential, almost cosmic horror that I love. You know, the full explanation from Fuyutsuki of just like, hey, here's what's up. Your mom's in the thing. Rei Ayanami's your mom. All of you are expendable. In fact, sometimes it's better when some of you die. Like, that hopelessness is so, to me, again, on the verge of the final chapter. On the verge of the final chapter, I think that hopelessness is the secret sauce of Evangelion, because it makes the almost delusional levels of hopefulness like hammer home like the power of like the indomitable human spirit, you know? Like, so I, again, love the very dark place this film went to. And speaking of characters who, again, like, no matter how much 14 years of, fighting for your lives in this desolate wasteland, even Asuka, she wasn't going to leave Shinji behind.
Yeah.
Like, it's because, again, and I understand that everybody on the Wunder has an operating policy of fuck Shinji Ikari right now. But
that's what they'd like to tell you. Let's be honest.
But Masato can't kill him.
No. None of them can.
Ritsuko clearly feels uncomfortable about the proposition. And Asuka could very well have gone, couldn't get to him. Sorry. But she goes back and she motherfucks him, and he deserves it. But yeah, So, question for you: what is the curse of the Ava?
What do you think the curse of the Ava is? From the little bit you got here, what do you think?
From the little bit I got, it seems like they are implying some amount of like unnatural longevity.
It's, I mean, fundamentally at its core, it's a meta commentary on how people aren't allowing characters to change and grow. So you've had like 20 years at this point of people not letting these characters move on. They just want this. Here you fucking go. I'm going to work that into my story.
It's very clever. I picked up on that. I did pick up on that like on some level she like, you know, Asuka is, you know, 28 years old, but she still looks 14. In some ways she's still acting 14. You know, like
I'd argue she acts no different to what she always has done. This is
there's a seriousness to her that is markedly different.
Yeah, but you get that in the original though as well.
Again, a lot of it's that petulant showboating. A lot of it's that petulant showboatiness. I do think there's a difference. Sorry.
There's absolutely it's still right here. Underneath it all, she's still the same person.
Of course, but I mean, but like that's the point of expounding upon these. Yeah. You know, like again, making another Star Wars comparison, like that is the best part of telling a story about Darth Vader are those little moments where you can see Anakin Skywalker in there. Mm-hmm. That's the whole fucking point of any Darth Vader story. Mm-hmm. Are the moments where you see Anakin, or you see the ways that this is setting the groundwork for Anakin to come rearing out of that armor to save Luke and lay down his life. Like, and then, like, that's, of course, it's at its core. And yes, like, again, Asuka is still, you know, idiot Shinji, four-eyed crony. Like, she's still doing all of this shit. It's still there. I'm not saying that it's not, but I think there is a seriousness to her that was
my point is that seriousness to her was always present. It's all that. It's just
it's been there, but it was not front and center the way it is here for me. No. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, again, Asuka, 14-year-old Asuka is not having a obviously filled with rage. Like, you know, she throws a haymaker so hard at that window that she cracks it. Yeah. You know, but 14 years ago, it's a lot of idiot Shinji, you're so stupid.
You get that now? She's just a little bit more like.
But here it's like, you fucked up and it cost all of us everything. You should be ashamed. Stay the fuck out of our way. Like there is a marked difference.
I know there is, but I'm just saying.
Handle that situation. And again, I do think there is a seriousness to her. I think there is a seriousness to her that I think is brought on by how flighty Mari is. I think that Asuka on some level recognizes that she can't be the flighty showboat working with another flighty showboat.
That's a fair point, yeah.
You know, because again, Asuka, she has a very interesting relationship with teamwork. You know, she wants to be the point guy on every single one of these operations. She wants to be the point guy. She wants to be the one to land the killing blow. She wants to be the one who is leading from the front. But
she's compensating for everything.
But when the situation is clear that it will not accommodate that behavior at all, she synergizes pretty well. She bitches about it the whole fucking time.
Yeah. I think
she will fall back into her role as necessary and then yell at you for making her not be the one to cut off the angel's head. And I think that is present here. And I think that also does a lot of maturing for Asuka, that while she is next to somebody who seems, quite frankly, incredibly emotionally unstable and not in the traumatized Asuka way, in the
who are you referring to? Because that doesn't narrow it down in the slightest with this.
Mari.
Yeah.
Singing her little song, and she's like cocking back on her like massive plasma rifle to take out God. they're like, I like to shoot things and I never miss, and I'm gonna shoot you in the fucking head. Boop.
Fun fact: that's a different Ava to what you see later on.
Of course, it is.
That's Unit 8 Alpha. You then get Unit 8 Beta.
I thought we were gonna get Unit 8 Sigma. I'm gonna walk in the traffic. Don't you worry. But no, but again, I do think Mari is an interesting foil for Asuka. I don't think it's explored very much, but I think they give us enough to recognize like Asuka has changed, and part of that change is having to accommodate for Mari. Part of that is having to accommodate for
I think saying she's now accommodating is probably the best way to put it. Changed, I don't agree with that. No, she's fundamentally still that 14-year-old.
On some level, yeah.
No.
On some level, yes. In the same way, I'm still the same fucking 15-year-old who waxes poetic about the Phantom Menace. And
I heard WA and my brain went somewhere else, and I was about to cut it, but that's no.
Oh,
don't worry about it. I couldn't help it.
Come on, who do I look like to you? Shinji Ikari in a hospital room? I went to watch.
You walked into that one.
You walked into that one. Fuck you. I get gaslit enough by Diaz. I'm not doing it with you.
I'm not gaslighting you as slightest, Jared.
But
I made a British joke. You went to the Ikari place.
So and the Ikari place is a store that exclusively sells lotion and toilet paper.
At least lotion. No.
Shinji Ikari's favorite lubricant is his own tears.
That's on his hand. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
just tears.
But the tears help him get to what's on his hand. This is a joke that is for anybody here who watches wrestling, and certainly not for Mitch. There's a wrestler in AEW named Jon Moxley, who in almost every single match he is in, he bleeds like a Mortal Kombat character. It just ends up being pools and pools of blood in the ring every time Jon Moxley steps in it. And there's an ongoing joke that I'm sure this is made all over the internet before, but my favorite version of it is the one that Michael, the DM from Ionized Bastards, loves to make, where he just, anytime we're watching AEW and Jon Moxley, again, is just profusely bleeding everywhere, is that Jon Moxley can't come unless he's bleeding.
Classic.
Shinji Ikari can't come unless he's crying.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar to Jon Moxley in that way. But no.
Which, with the amount of time he cries in this franchise, it gives a whole new context.
I know. Neon Gunesis. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. This is very compelling stuff. I'm very excited to see what comes next. And now I'm going to ask my favorite question to ask in this show.
Shoot. What happened?
Can you please explain what the fuck the ending was?
Fourth Impact. Near Fourth Impact.
Okay, cool. Near Fourth Impact.
Right. Well, obviously,
I knew that.
We don't.
So what was the situation with the spears? Like, why didn't it work? Why was it fucked up because it wasn't the right spears?
I don't think we know. I genuinely don't think we know. If they've explained or if I've missed something for why about the spears, I don't know it. All I know is that he wanted Cassius and Longinus, even though it's Longinus. I hate saying Longinus. I know if it's more Cassius, but yeah, he wanted both. It ends up being that there's 2 Longinus spears. Genuinely don't know. All we kind of know is that
Sorry.
I'll say all we kind of know is that Lilith, when Shinji did the thing, started rising up. How? We don't know. This is, again, result of things that were cut, things that were changed. All you just know is Lilith got back up again. I guess the Mark 6 took her head off. But why the Mark 6 is massive on Lilith's back, I don't know. Because the Mark 6 is not that big.
So the Mark 6 is an
one that Kaoru has. Yes, it is a Adam. Because the whole thing was at the start of this movie, it was supposed to be at least you see one of the Adams hit the moon. Maybe that explains why the moon's got a streak on it. Who knows? But that's what they were using to build when you see the moon in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that white figure on the moon. They use that to make the Mark 6. But we don't see that, obviously, because it was cut.
And Kaoru is still just an angel.
Yes, yeah. It's the beginning and the end.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Mm. But yeah, I think those are my thoughts for this one. I liked it a lot, and I am excited.
I'm going to go out on a limb. Right, I was having to think about this last night. Right. I think Thrice is going to be your favorite out of everything.
Like the next one?
Yeah. The last one.
Yeah.
Because we're at the end now, Jarod.
We're in the end game now.
I think it's going to be your favorite one. You're absolutely going to understand why. I think you're going to cry. There's one specific scene, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you get to it. If you don't, we don't understand each other as well as I thought. But there's one specific scene that you'll know. But yeah.
All right.
The ending, I think you're genuinely going to be satisfied with.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped. Former Nerd Academy contributor Levi Baum, he and I linked up this past weekend to go watch the Steelers game at a favorite sports bar of mine. And he was like, "So, how you digging?" He's like, "What do you think about Evangelion?" He's like, "Where are you at?" And I'm like, "We're on the rebuilds." He was like, "Oh, okay." And then Levi's next immediate question was, "How'd you feel about Shinji jerking off over Asuka's unconscious body?" And I was like,
the first question everyone has to know.
I was like, that was a lot.
That was a load.
Maybe I'll walk out of here tomorrow and you never see me again. That's really what I want to do.
Don't make me edit. No.
Sorry.
Everyone gets one. You only get one shot, so you got to make it count.
Yeah. One shot, one opportunity. Mm-hmm. Sees everything you ever wanted.
Shinji took his. No.
Jesus. Anyway, we were talking a lot about it. And I told him, I was like, I think I like the rebuilds considerably more than the show. And I was like,
which is a fascinating opinion.
And I was like, and I really liked the show. See, I told him that you said that. And he was like, no, that's a normal opinion to have.
No, fundamentally, no. No, these movies have been controversial since the start. People hate this movie. This one specifically, 3, hate it.
I had a good time.
I love it. I love all 4 of them. I love it. I love everything, to be honest. No. But for the first, between 2007 and 2013 with these movies, people fundamentally hated it. It is not a common opinion to like these movies. Maybe now that Thrice has come out and finished everything, and people had like a 7-year wait between those 2 movies, so people called off and everything and then actually gave it its dues. But that is not a common opinion. Remember
what it said about it feeling like Star Wars?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've been here before. I've been here before. I've been here before. But
not as bad as the Star Wars reaction.
No. You guys had the decency to not like harass children and make an actor almost kill himself. You guys got a lot going for you.
But no, everyone who doesn't like the rebuilds is fundamentally wrong. That's just the game. Yeah.
At the very least, Levi was like, "Yeah, they're good." So,
I don't think they're anywhere near the original, personally. That's why I find it fascinating that you say it's better. But
for me, a lot of the plot is streamlined in a way that I find a lot more,
which is hilarious because nothing is streamlined or more coherent in the original. Fascinating.
That's what I'm saying. The other one is so hard to keep up with. The movie is a little bit more.
No, what I'm saying is this
character motivations.
This isn't like streamlining the plot. Is what I'm saying. Like it's not more coherent in this place. No. I just mean like certain conceits are made a lot earlier, and character motivation is a lot clearer for the most part. But yeah. It's fascinating. The only two people I know that have that opinion are both around the same age. And I think that's even more fascinating with it as well. Like how wrong Gen Z just wants to be about everything.
Fucking Christ. All right.
Look, if the whole
nice day.
Look, years, millennials been bullied by people older, and then Gen Z came along and tried to do it. Do not roll your eyes at me. This is you make your bed, you lay in it.
I refuse to take criticism from the generation that thought Philip Phillips deserved to be a.
I don't know who that is because I'm not American, so.
I know. That was only on the mind because Taylor and I were talking about The Amazing Spider-Man 2 the other night.
Ooh, why are we talking about that?
Mitch, we just uncovered a fucking conspiracy.
I think we might have done.
Because I typed in 7 webheads and I get all these Fandom Wire things, but all of them are like videos by 7 web. I'm freaking the fuck out. Okay,
I need to 7 webheads channel became Fandom Wire. There's no way you can spin that. That's exactly what happened. They didn't delete the videos.
No, but the last upload was 3 months ago. With an exclusive clip from Hitmonkey.
Yeah. I can't believe that video got 3.9 views. That's more people that watch fucking Hitmonkey.
This is fascinating. Okay, we need to go. I had an unexpected day off today that was going to be spent finishing up Halloween costume shopping and saying goodbye to my childhood dog. Fuck all of that. I need to research what happened to 7 webheads.
I'm offended by that.
Mitch, you might not get the video file for this episode. I need to know.
I absolutely need the fucking video.
I know. I'm gonna end the recording now. Everybody have a nice day. Subscribe to this channel and the Nerd Academy podcast. Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching or listening, whatever flavor you prefer. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the good stuff so you don't miss an episode. And of course, leave a comment, tell us what you thought about this episode of Neon Genesis. If you watched it before or you haven't, I generally love to hear what people think about this show. If you're following along with us, that's great. If not, and you watched it before, tell us what you think about this one specific episode in particular, because we are trying to keep Jarod spoiler free as much as possible. And yeah, any help is greatly appreciated for this little channel project we're working on here, trying to build this up. And of course we can't do that without you guys, so yeah, any help is greatly appreciated, and we'll catch you all for the next one. So take care.